See, sir, here's the grand approach. This way is for His Grace's coach. There lies the bridge, and here's the clock. Observe the lion and the cock, the spacious court, the colonnade, and mark how wide the hall is made. The chimneys are so well designed they never smoke in any wind. This gallery is contrived for walking, the windows to retire and talk in. The council chamber for debate. And all the rest are rooms of state.
Nice afternoon, Jennie.
Thanks, sir, cried I. 'Tis very fine, but where do you sleep?
Sorry, my dear.
And where do you dine?
Rosamond. Beg your pardon, Mama.
Look out, Mamma. Blanford's cheating again. Oh, what rot.
I find by all you have been telling that 'tis a house, but not a dwelling.
Mine. Bedtime.
Father.
Good night, Bertha.
Good night, Father.
Good night, Mother.
Good night, Blanford.
Good
night, Mother.
Rosamond.
Good night, Bertha. Good night, Rosamond.
Jennie.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Jennie. Good night.
Good night, Papa.
Good night, Randolph,
Good
dear.
night, Mamma.
Thank you, Gentry. Good night.
Good night, my lady. Good night, Randolph.
Good night, Gentry.
Randolph, we're going back to London. I refuse to stay here another night.
Jennie, what on earth's the matter?
Blenheim! Your mother sniffing and spying and trying to find fault, and your two frumpy sisters and your horrible brother. Blenheim!
Oh, come on. They're not that bad.
Oh, I've never been so achingly bored in all my life. Take me home.
Darling, it's just your condition.
There is nothing wrong with me. I'm not ill. I'm having a baby. Everyone has babies. I feel wonderful.
And you look it too when your blood's up.
Oh, I'm serious.
Yes, darling, of course you are. But you don't want to be alone, and in London you would be, whereas here you've got Mamma and Rosamond, Bertha.
Bertha!
May I come in?
Of course, darling.
Sanctify yourselves, therefore, and be ye holy, for I am the Lord your God. And ye shall keep my statutes and do them. I am the Lord which sanctify you. For everyone that curseth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. He hath cursed his father or his mother, his blood shall be upon him. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Here endeth the first lesson.
See that, Father? Good shot, Randolph.
Yours, Blandford, Mark.
For God's sake, man, load both barrels.
Do people shoot in America, Jenny?
Only each other.
Goodness me. You must find Blenheim awfully strange. I mean, after your upbringing and everything.
More awful than strange, frankly, Bertha.
Jenny. Say, are you all right?
Oh, yes, I'm all right.
Randolph?
I did advise you not to go out with the men, Jenny.
I felt I must have some fresh air, Duchess.
This is your first time. You really should listen to those who have some experience in these matters.
Well, I can't stay locked indoors like a nun.
No one would ever take you for a nun, my dear. Least of all in your condition.
Well, it hardly shows. It isn't due for another 2 months, at least.
You have a very clever and costly dressmaker no one could help noticing.
Oh, good. I'd hate it not to be noticed.
Well, now, Jenny, you mustn't mind me saying this. You've led a very carefree life up to now, and well, I'm only trying to help you.
But
now is the time for you to realize that as Randolph's wife, you have duties as well as privileges. And the first of those duties is as the mother of Randolph's child.
Randolph's child? Isn't it to be mine at all, then?
Now, don't be foolish. Randolph is a younger son, of course, but Blandford has only the one boy, and, well...
Oh, I see. My child might be the next link in the chain.
Exactly. I'm very glad you're beginning to understand our ways, Jenny.
It's like being a broodmare. I'm just here to have babies in case little Sonny dies and Bertha has no more sons.
Oh, darling, of course not.
Even you think about that, don't you?
Well, I wouldn't mind being Duke, and you wouldn't mind being Duchess either. Don't pretend you would.
Oh. Well, it's silly to think about things which aren't going to happen.
Well, they might. Bertha's not going to have any more sons or daughters, if you ask me.
You don't think she and Blandford...
Oh, how can you make love to a woman who drops ink pots on your head? Blandford's nerves have never been strong, you know.
You don't suppose he's in love with Edith Aylesford, do you?
Well, I don't know. It's perfectly obvious he can't stand the sight of Bertha. If she wasn't so incredibly stupid, you'd have noticed months ago.
Oh, you're as bad as he is. You don't talk about her as though she were a real human being.
Well, she scarcely is one, is she?
No, she's just a link in the chain like me.
Oh, come on, darling. You know perfectly well that's not what I think about you.
It's what your mother thinks.
Well, I'm not my mother's keeper, or my brother's either, thank God.
Come in. Thank you, Gentry.
Good night, my lady.
Good night.
Good night, my lord.
Good night, Gentry.
What do you suppose Bertha's going to do when she finds out about Edith?
Nothing.
Well, I'd do something, I can tell you.
Oh, no, you wouldn't. Bertha's the daughter of one duke, and she means to be the Duchess of another. She knows the rules.
Grin and bear it.
Well, of course. We all know how good she is at grinning. Now she must bear as well. We can't have a scandal. It'd rock the whole social order.
Don't you count on me to behave like that.
If you're ever unfaithful to me, I should scratch your eyes out.
Darling, in our case, the question will never arise.
Jenny, what are you doing?
Bertha, come and look at this.
Good Lord. Has that always been there? What is it?
It's the first Duke receiving the keys to the kingdom of heaven.
Oh,
The Churchills have regarded them as family property ever since.
Jenny,
Oh, good morning, Duchess.
you're not thinking of going out.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but as a matter of fact, I am.
After what happened last time,
where are you going to blow around the park in the pony carriage?
I think that most unwise. Jenny will be shaken about. She should stay indoors.
But this house is so stuffy, Duchess. I felt I must have some air.
Let him. Stuff him.
There, that's better.
I say, you all right?
I think we better get back.
Tell her Grace, quickly.
Now, we must be practical.
Is she going to stop?
Yes.
It's not due till January.
It won't be any the worse for being a few weeks early. Now, we've not succeeded in stopping the pains, and as it is Sunday evening and there are no trains, we shall simply have to make do with this little local doctor. He's very good, really.
Has he got any chloroform?
Well, I'm afraid not.
Oh, my God.
Randolph.
Well, can't we get someone from Oxford, even?
Oh, my dear. Babies don't wait for drugs and doctors, I'm afraid.
Don't worry, Jenny. You're doing awfully well, really.
How long does it go on?
You never can tell, I'm afraid.
Rosamond, Mrs. Brown is expecting her time in January. She must have some baby clothes ready. Go and ask her if we can borrow them. Tell her Jennies are all in London.
She hasn't even finished buying them.
Some people, fortunately, are more provident than others.
And solicitors' wives, by nature, more so than most.
If you'll do that, Rosamond, I'll go and sit with Jenny.
May I come?
Certainly not.
I say, old boy, your firstborn, wrapped in the swaddling bands designed for an infant solicitor.
There are excellent precedents for children taking their mothers unaware, Blandford. May I draw your attention to that picture over there?
Aiming pretty high, aren't you?
Nothing but the best for my child.
Oh, Randolph. Jenny is a brick.
But is she all right?
She's so brave.
She'll be all right. Women don't die in childbirth like they used to. Unfortunately.
Not long now, dear.
Sit down, Randolph.
Cut.
Oh, Randolph. It's
Winston Leonard, I baptize thee in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Now can we go back to London?
Royal Highness.
Jolly good speech of yours in the House, Randolph.
Oh, thanks very much. Just a bit of fun, you know.
No, it was jolly good. HRH said he wished someone would speak up for us like that. We need more money for our trip to India, you know.
My dear Aylesford, it's no use speaking to me. I'm not in the government yet. Speak to Dizzy.
Oh, HRH has done. It's the Queen.
Oh, Lord.
I say, why don't you come with us? It's going to be the greatest fun.
I've only been married a year, old chap. What do people think?
I'm leaving Edith.
Are you indeed?
Well, HRH was so insistent I must go. We can't take women, of course, so... Oh, Edith will be all right. She can hunt. I wish to God they'd go now and never come back. I can't wait till next week, Edith, let alone next month.
Darling, once he's gone, we'll have all the time in the world.
That's what I want you now. Next weekend.
I'm sorry, we've been asked to Sandringham.
I'm so glad the rumor about Lady Esmond isn't true. If she were with Charles now, it might be most embarrassing for everyone. Eh?
Can't you get out of it? I could come down to you at Packington.
Everyone would know.
Everyone knows already. Except Joe and Bertha.
So then I put some soap in with the cheese, Clara, and he ate the lot, without saying a word.
Poor man.
Afterwards, he was terribly sick.
How very, very funny.
He's never forgiven me, never.
Are you surprised? Who's that Jenny's dancing with?
I think... Yes, it is. It's Lord Hardwick.
Oh, so that's Lord Hardwick. Jenny's told me about him.
You're wasted on Randolph.
My dancing certainly is. He'll hardly step on the floor.
Don't be silly, you know what I mean.
Oh? I don't think so.
Come to bed with me, Jenny.
It's very kind of you to ask me, but these masks are so deceptive, aren't they? I'm afraid you must have mistaken who I am.
If you'd like it, I know you would. I can always tell.
I don't know what class of woman you normally consort with, Lord Hardwick, but I'm afraid your experience with them can be of no use to you at all with me. Good evening.
Come on, you want it, I want it.
Take your hand off me. Thank you so much.
It's Lady Randolph. I'd know that complexion anywhere. If it was any other woman, I'd say she was angry. But with you, my dear, I know it's no more than natural pride.
Oh, don't say I'm proud. I should blush.
I only mean you should be very proud of Randolph's success in the house.
Oh, if you say it was a success, Mr. Disraeli, then it really must have been.
Oh, it was. You should make him speak more often. He's too modest.
Now there, sir, you've shown ignorance I never would have expected. Who ever heard of a modest Churchill?
My dear Lady Randolph, all I wish to say is, if your talented husband would only attend the House of Commons with half the assiduity he attends the racecourse, he could go very far indeed.
Do you mean that? Or is it just another of your flatteries?
I flatter. Never. Oh, no, I promise you. If Randolph ever takes himself seriously, if he studies and exercises a little self-control...
Ah, self-control is, I'm afraid, like modesty, something the Churchills simply do not have.
And who is this beautiful lady? What secrets lie behind that tantalizing mask? Such eyes. Surely I know those eyes.
Lady Randolph, the eyes have it indeed, sir.
Well, what office have you got for Randolph?
Nothing, sir. Yet.
Oh, sir, do not destroy an old man's illusions. I hoped she was talking to me just because she liked me.
Nonsense. You were talking to her. I saw it all.
Then the sooner your Royal Highness removes to India, the better. So we may conduct our amour with something more like privacy.
Oh, intrigue. Let me take you from this aura of wickedness.
So long, sir, as it's not claimed droit de seigneur.
I claim only this dance. Oh, when I'm king, my dear. Oh.
Mama.
It's no use, my lady. He'll only do it if you say it's for his papa.
Ungrateful little beast. All right then, Winnie. A kiss for Papa. Oh, come on.
Good Lord, Everest. Has her ladyship regressed to second childhood already?
You're just in time. He's just going to bed.
Extraordinary things, babies. Getting them decently, respectably into the world requires such fearfully complicated arrangements. Doesn't it, Everest? Babies are the whole basis of morality, you know.
There must be babies, my lord. Otherwise the world would come to a stop. That I do know.
Perfectly true. A profound observation. You're a philosopher, Everest, a sage.
Oh, it's only common sense, my lord.
And what could be sager than that? Jenny, I thought you said this repulsive moral object was on its way to bed.
Oh, poor little Winnie. Good night, Everest. Thank you so much.
Good night, my lady. Good night, my lord.
Good night, Everest.
You really shouldn't tease her like that. She might understand you.
Good thing, too. I meant every word of it. We've got trouble, Jenny.
Oh? What's the matter?
Blandford. He's announced that he's leaving Bertha and running away with Edith Aylesford.
Oh, how ridiculous.
It's insane. And Edith's written to Joe, telling him all about it, if you please. So now he's dashing back from India, full steam ahead, demanding a divorce.
Oh, really? They're like children. Don't they know how to behave?
Apparently not. Blandford's asking Bertha for a judicial separation.
You mean he wants to marry Edith?
So he says.
But nobody will ever speak to him again.
Quite. That's why we've got to stop him before he does something even sillier than what he's done already. I say, we are going to have fun.
Fun? I've never heard of anything so stupid and sordid in my life.
Well, Blandford's decided to do the decent thing and offer Joe a duel. Pistols at dawn and all that. Oh, I love it when people make fools of themselves. Thank God Papa's in Greece and can't spoil it all.
Randolph, do you mean they're actually going to fight?
Oh, God, no, we can't let it come to that. We'll have a splendid time pretending.
Well, I don't find either dueling or divorce the least bit funny.
If there won't really be a duel, I told you.
And no divorce either, I hope.
I have every intention of making Edith my wife.
You can't possibly, don't be ridiculous.
Edith and I love each other.
Well, so I should hope with all this row. And what's that got to do with anything? Do you really love her so much you want to ruin her forever?
Ruin, Piffle. What the devil does it matter what people think so long as we're happy?
Oh, nothing at all, of course. Provided you are happy, that is. I can just see you night after night, year in, year out, eating your solitary dinners together at Blenheim. No one will come, Blandford, not even Mr. and Mrs. Brown. No one will invite you out, either. It'll just be you and Edith till you die. That's what divorce and disgrace mean.
I don't care.
What about Edith?
What about her?
Have you asked her whether or not she cares? Yes, I know love is blind. But don't you think you ought to start thinking a little less about yourself and a little more about her?
I think about her all day long.
Look, old chap. If Edith's to have any sort of happiness, she can't be cut off from everything and everyone she knows and loves.
I want to marry her.
You can't! Stop thinking about it! And start thinking how you can stop Joe Aylesford divorcing Edith.
Huh. That would be quite easy.
Not from what I hear.
I've got some letters.
Joe's?
Much better. HRH's. To Edith.
Good God.
They're pretty hot stuff. Do you want to see them?
The Prince of Wales is the greatest hypocrite on God's earth.
Oh, darling, we all know that. It's his job.
Well, it's a much dirtier job than you think. He's deliberately letting it be known all over London that he thinks poor Blandford is
Blandford.
Certainly, poor Blandford. 6 months ago, HRH was slapping him on the back and winking about his affair with Edith. Now he turns round and calls him a blackguard. If that's not hypocrisy, then I don't know what is.
Of course it is. But, darling, you know, I know, everyone knows that whatever he says or does in public has nothing to do with what he really thinks or feels. He has to set an example.
Example? So you think he was setting an example when he insisted on taking Joe with him to India, knowing perfectly well about Edith and Blandford when he virtually forced them into each other's arms?
Oh? I thought they were there already.
Well, it doesn't give him the right to call Blandford names now.
Oh, Names don't mean anything. It's Blandford's fault for letting it become public knowledge. Once it was, the prince had no choice.
Hadn't he? You don't know the half of it yet. You talk about public and private? Well, privately, HRH was after Edith himself.
Well, he's been after half the women in England.
He thought Joe was going to find out. That's why he encouraged Blandford. He wanted Blandford to carry his blame.
Don't see why you have to invent a story like that.
I haven't invented anything. It's the truth. HRH is using his public position to clear up a little awkwardness in his private life, which is why I say he's not only a hypocrite, but a cad.
Oh, you are not to talk about him like that. He's always been extremely kind to us.
For his own reasons, no doubt.
Well, he's never tried anything like that with me.
Yet. He likes them older than you. Your time will come, I have no doubt.
Don't be so disgusting.
Why do you defend him? Why don't you believe what I tell you?
Because, my darling, when you talk wildly like this, your judgment's just never any good at all.
I see, so that's what you think of me.
What I think, Randolph, is that it's extremely stupid to quarrel with such a powerful man. He can ruin us as quickly as he's ruined your brother.
He can't touch us. Because what you don't know is I've got the crown of England in my pocket. Here.
Randolph?
I'm not afraid of the crown of England. You Americans will never understand people like us have been fighting the crown throughout history. We don't kowtow to kings. We make 'em and break 'em.
I have done all I can, Lord Randolph. I have spoken to Lady Aylesford and to your brother. I do not see what more I can do.
I believe your Royal Highness could urge the Prince to be even more active than he has been in trying to persuade Lord Aylesford to withdraw his threat of a divorce.
But he has been very active already. He believes with you that a divorce could only do very great harm, but he is not in a position to compel Lord Aylesford to give it up.
There are peculiar and grave matters affecting this case, ma'am. I'm determined to use every means in my power to prevent it coming before the public.
I commend your feeling.
I have such means at my disposal.
Well?
I regret to say that certain letters have come into my possession.
Indeed.
They are addressed to Lady Aylesford and are of the most compromising character. I must tell you that I have shown them to my solicitor, who has shown them to the Solicitor General.
I'm not sure that I wish to know any more about this business, Lord Randolph.
I'm afraid you must, ma'am. The letters are from the Prince of Wales. It is the Solicitor General's opinion that if they ever come before the public, His Royal Highness will never sit on the throne of England. And I must tell you that if Lord Aylesford persists with his intention of suing for divorce, His Royal Highness will be called as a witness.
I'm afraid I'm quite unable to judge the importance of what you say, Lord Randolph. But I will, of course, let His Royal Highness know that you called. Good morning.
Your Royal Highness.
Randolph is so impetuous. I was sure something like this would happen. He proposed to you after only 3 days.
You seem to forget, Mama, that I accepted him after only 3 days, too.
But no.
You and Clara had better understand that I am not going to listen to you abusing Randolph in his own house. All he was trying to do was save his brother.
Some people simply aren't worth saving.
Oh, I'm sorry if my family has incommoded you, Clara. But they are my family.
I think, Jennie, dear, you had better come and stay with us in Paris for a while.
No, thank you, Mama. My place is at Randolph's side, and I am most grateful to you and Clara for making it so clear to me.
Well, I don't think there's any point in us staying in London, Mama.
Clara, it was very nice having you with us for the season last year. But if you find us so tiresome and stupid, perhaps this year you'd better stay away.
Well, I'd love to come, Jennie, dear. So long as there's something to come for. Do you think there will be? Good night, my lady.
Good night, Gentry.
Good night, my lord.
Clara never did care about anything except parties and the dresses she was going to wear.
Well, you're quite fond of parties and dresses yourself.
Randolph. I don't care what you've done. But if we're to have all these worries, do for heaven's sake, let's go through them together.
I thought you shared your family's views of my behavior.
As long as I have you, I don't care what happens. I wouldn't give you up for all the crowned heads in Europe.
That's the nicest thing I've heard since you said you'd marry me.
For better or worse.
I'm afraid the worst has hardly started yet.
No.
The Prince has decided to send Lord Hardwicke to act as go-between.
Well, he can't know, can he? That Hardwicke tried to... Well, do you suppose he does know?
I don't know, but it's just what that dreadful little man would think a tremendous jape. I shall tell Hardwicke precisely what I think of him and his master.
Oh, darling, you mustn't let him know for 1 second that I told you.
They're all such unspeakable cads. Lechers. They ought to be exposed.
It's all so confused already. If my name gets involved as well.
Yes, well... No, of course it mustn't be. No, it'd give HRH such pleasure to drag you in the mire, too. Oh, all right. My quarrel's only with the Prince. Of course, Hardwicke's one of my oldest friends. I'm totally ignorant of the fact that he tried to seduce my wife. I'm only so sorry that we should have to meet under such unhappy circumstances for both of us.
Keep calm this time, Randolph. For both our sakes.
It won't be easy.
Well, then, I'll help you.
Hardwicke.
Yes.
Lord Hardwicke, my lord.
This is a very bad business, Lord Randolph.
Good morning, Lord Hardwicke.
Oh, good morning.
What a pleasant surprise. We haven't had the pleasure of seeing you since, since when can it have been?
I don't remember.
Well, not since the Prince went to India. Have you any word of him?
He's reached Egypt on his way home.
Enjoying the flesh pots of Cairo, no doubt.
No doubt.
They do say Egypt can be very beautiful at this time of year.
I believe so. If I might have a word, Lord Randolph.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I de trop? I thought you'd come to see me. Well, I'll leave you then. So nice to see you again.
Well?
Look here. This is awfully embarrassing. HRH has asked me to represent his interests here in England till he gets back.
You must feel greatly honored.
I have to inform you that His Royal Highness is extremely angry to hear of your disgraceful and dishonorable threats to the Princess.
Oh, dear, I am sorry.
He demands your apology.
I won't give one.
Then he requests you to name your seconds. He will meet you at any convenient time and place on the north coast of France. You will appreciate that he cannot, of course, meet you here in England.
Foils? Sabres?
Pistols.
I say. At dawn?
This is not a laughing matter, Randolph. Your action in going to the Princess with the intention of blackmailing the Prince... Will you please be serious?
Serious? You march into my drawing room and ask me to take seriously a challenge from the heir to the throne. Don't be such a fool.
His Royal Highness has every intention of dealing in this matter.
His Royal Highness knows damned well that such a duel is impossible. His challenge is absurd. Is he trying to make an even bigger cad of himself than he has already?
Look here!
I'll tell you what I'm prepared to do. I'll apologize to the princess. You can tell H.R.H. that if I acted indiscreetly or was guilty of the slightest disrespect to her, I unreservedly offer my most humble and sincere apologies.
He wants you to apologize to him.
I won't. His behavior has been scandalous throughout this affair, and if any apology is due, it is from, not to him.
Look here, Randolph, it's no good taking that line.
You'll tell him what I've said. Please use my exact words.
Very well. Your message is as insulting as your original behavior.
Challenging me to a duel. It's very easy for him to do that when he knows I must refuse him, isn't it?
That is unforgivable.
The truth often is, Lord Hardwicke. Good morning.
Must not always take such extreme positions, Randolph. You must learn to be more conciliatory.
If the prince refuses to meet me, Mamma, it is because he has a guilty conscience. I'm happy to be reconciled at any time. My conscience is clear.
There's no point in taking that attitude. You should think of the future.
I am thinking of the future.
The apology the prince wants him to sign is too groveling. Randolph simply cannot sign it.
He'll have to sign something in the end. I am surprised to hear you encouraging him to be obstinate, Jenny. I should have thought you must regret what has happened.
Well, I think we can all agree that Randolph was quite right, absolutely right, to do everything possible to prevent Blandford from bringing disgrace on himself and on his family.
Oh, yes. All my fault, of course.
Well, isn't it?
I never thought you'd turn against me.
What makes you think I was ever for you?
This is wonderful. All my friends pretend they've never met me, and now my family turns on me, too.
Can't you think of anyone but yourself? You never had any plans for a career, but Randolph had wonderful prospects.
Oh, my dear brother was dizzy about to offer you a seat in the cabinet. I'm so sorry.
It's not simply a question of the damage to Randolph's prospects.
Oh, Randolph's prospects! He's been in Parliament 2 years and hardly opened his mouth.
Blandford, if you can't control yourself, perhaps you will leave us to continue our discussion without you.
No, let him stay. Just do shut up for 2 minutes, Blandford.
What I was about to say was this. The political effects of this quarrel may not in the long run be of any importance, though for the time being, of course, Randolph cannot look for any advancement. However, as H.R.H. has gone to the lengths of saying he will not even enter a house where Randolph and Jennie are received, the social effects are already, I think I may say, considerable.
People say that a crisis like this is a great test of friendship. And it's true. I find I have no friends at all.
Blandford.
Randolph, I don't really wish to enter your personal dispute with the prince.
But you must. If you think he was right, and he was, then you must support him.
My dear Jennie, it'll do absolutely no good for me to take sides. But this unhappy affair must be settled as soon as possible.
Randolph did what he did for the sake of the family. Now the family must stand by him.
Of course we stand by him. Really, Jennie?
Yes. Well, I suppose I'd better go and see the prince and see if some form of reconciliation cannot be achieved.
You won't do any good.
The prince will listen to your father. Of course he will.
Oh, no, Mamma. You see, I won. Aylesford has withdrawn his demand for a divorce, and he wouldn't have done if I hadn't gone to the princess, and the prince can never admit that. That's why he's making such a fuss. He's a hypocrite, a cad, and a damned bad loser, too.
Your son has forfeited forever the right to describe himself, or to be described, as a gentleman. It's a pity there's no desert island to which he and his brother could be banished.
Your Royal Highness will forgive me. That's not a very conciliatory way to open our discussion.
Well, I'm not in a conciliatory mood. I never wish to see either of them again.
I understand your feelings, sir, of course.
I expect you do, being their father.
Sir, I'm sure I can persuade Lord Randolph to offer you a handsome apology.
My dear Duke, I have no wish to exacerbate this quarrel, but that does not mean I'm ready to make peace. Lord Randolph's language has been quite inexcusable. To the princess first, and then to Lord Hardwicke. The things he said to Hardwicke.
Don't defend his language, sir, of course. But I must ask you to believe that he felt at all times he was acting for the best.
He lied. He told the princess he'd shown the letters to the Solicitor General. It was quite untrue.
Sir, my sole purpose in asking for this meeting was to heal the wounds, not to reopen them.
Well, you're right. All right, sit down, sit down.
Thank you, sir.
But I must tell you that what particularly rankles is your son's ingratitude.
How was that, sir?
Well, I was extremely kind to him last year. He was newly married, a young man with an American wife. We quite took them up. And for him to behave like this now, it's dreadful. It's quite dreadful.
Sir, will no form of apology be acceptable to you?
I very much doubt it. It's too soon.
If you intend to remain so highly displeased with my son, sir, I think you'd better extend your displeasure to my wife and myself.
Oh, no. Please do not feel that.
Do you force it on me, sir? Unless you will accept an apology.
Well, if I receive one, I will consider it. I will acknowledge it. You'll have to be satisfied with that. I will acknowledge it, but I will not accept it.
But, sir, that
is all I'm prepared to do.
What's that? A funeral march? Might as well be.
Oh, is it that bad?
I'm afraid so. Sorry, Jenny.
Oh, I don't want an apology.
I won't give one. He won't accept one. So we're dished. Utterly dished. Now, Disraeli's called in the Lord Chancellor to try and work something out. What we do in the meanwhile, I really don't know.
Oh, we go on.
Darling, we can't. Not as before.
Well, then differently. There's more than one way to live, Randolph.
You're very brave.
Oh, not at all. You were the brave one. You took up a cause which you thought was good.
And landed you in this hole just to try and save Blandford from his own folly.
Well, I'd have thought a good deal less of you if you hadn't tried.
Ah, you are good to me.
I'll tell you one thing.
Mm?
We know who our friends are.
Yes, we have none.
That's a very useful thing to know.
Oh, Jenny, what's our sort of life been worth then? It's been fun, I suppose. Dancing, parties, hunting, shooting, racing, doing the social round. Of course, it's been fun. But
It's over. For the time being, anyway, and in England. So let's try somewhere else.
I'm afraid the prince still refuses to have any dealings with your son in spite of the apology. It was the remarks about his challenge which incensed him most, I think.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Really, I thought this sort of thing had gone out with the Regency.
Well, I wish it had. I shall stand by my son, of course.
Lord Randolph, you mean?
Yes. Blandford is... Blandford.
Quiet. Your own behavior, if I may say so, my dear Duke, has been beyond praise, really admirable.
Well, I know my duty, I believe. I shall be quite happy to remain with my family at Blenheim.
Well, now, I was going to suggest something rather more, I won't say agreeable, but at least more useful. Your talents are too great to remain hidden, even in the most gorgeous of palaces, my dear friend. I know you have declined the post before, but now that circumstances have changed, what do you say to Ireland?
Ireland.
The Viceroy wishes to retire, and I would like you to replace him. And of course, you could take Lord Randolph with you as your private secretary. He would be most useful to you, and I think most usefully employed for his own benefit.
I see, I see.
My dear old friend, I happen to know it would give Her Majesty the very greatest pleasure if you would accept.
I'll tell you something, Jenny. Ireland may be the back of beyond, may be full of republicans and peasants and madmen, but there's damn good hunting.
Then we'd better buy some damn good horses.
My dear, you'd better not have Everest here using that kind of language.
No wonder where I could have learnt it.
I'll tell you something else.
Fit for my ears, I hope.
The next 20, 30, maybe 50 years of English politics are going to be all about Ireland. And you know what? I'm going to be the only Englishman who really understands them.